Go Jackets.
What's going on, everyone, and welcome to WreckTalk. This is not going to be a pleasant video. I'm not well. I'm not happy. When I started this channel, I assumed I would be arguing with Georgia fans, Miami fans, SEC fans in general, Clemson fans. I didn't think I would be arguing, attacking, and being attacked by Georgia Tech fans. So the title of this video being like, what is a realistic expectation for Georgia Tech football? And breaking that down, like, what is a realistic expectation for right now, where we have a first-time head coach in his first year with an almost entirely new staff and a lot of new players? What's a realistic expectation? And I feel like we have to go over this because many people don't understand what a realistic expectation is. So we're going to look through some comments, and then at the end, we'll talk about North Carolina a little bit. First thing I want to bring up. I read this comment, either the last video or the video. It was the video before. Bad G Karma. Some of these people I don't even know are really Tech fans. I feel like they're just posing as Tech fans. But just to relive this, talking about Brent Key, he has been responsible for the O-line since 2019, and people who thought it would be any different now is just insane. And I don't know if I said it in the video where I read this before. If you look at Georgia Tech's offensive line this year and think it's the same as last year or years past, again, you're football stupid. What this person is doing is saying, hey, I don't know anything about football. Says it's just biding time until his firing year 3, and there's not ability to fire him prior to that. So, which means he wants to fire Brent Key year 1, not even give him a full year. Again, this is him saying, I'm an idiot. I have a below 70 IQ. He was selected because he was a cheap and easy solution, whining about who would you expect Tech to get because it's a tough place to win. The academics is just Pee Wee League complaints. First of all, that sentence is a disaster. Work on that, be better. And again, if you can't acknowledge the reality that you're in, which is that players do have to take calculus, and that's so what are you going to do? Get a 5-star kid to commit, knowing that he has academic issues, and then have him not academically qualify? That's a genius move, man. I don't know why we don't make you head coach. Who wanted to coach at South Carolina before Lou Holtz came and turned the program around? Did he turn the program around? Let's look at what Lou Holtz did at South Carolina. 1999 was his first year. He went 0-11. You would have fired him halfway through that season, and he's the guy who you think is the pinnacle of South Carolina football. Interesting you don't bring up the guy from the guy from Florida, Steve Spurrier. He's who I would bring up if I was talking about a guy, if any, that's turned around South Carolina. But you've already admitted you're football idiot with the things you've said previously. 2000, he went 8-4. Next year in 01, he went 9-3. And spoiler alert, that's the best year he'll ever have at South Carolina. He goes 5-7 in 02, 5-7 in 03, and 6-5 in 2004. Yeah, man, he turned the program around, didn't he? We need to put you in administration at Tech. And by the way, you would have never given him the opportunity to get you to a 9-win season because you would have fired him 7 games into his first year. Who wanted to coach at Stanford when Harbaugh showed up? Let's look at Jim Harbaugh at Stanford. 2007, he went 4-8. You would have fired him in his first year. Again, all you people that think Key should be fired in his first year, all these coaches I'm going to go through would have been fired in their first year had y'all had the decision to retain or fire. All right, 08 he goes 5-7 at Stanford. 09 he goes 8-5, and then his last year in 2010 he goes 12-1. All right, let's look at some other coaches. Let's talk about Steve Sarkisian. What was his record his first year at Texas? 5-7. So you guys would have fired Sarkisian in his first year as well. Then he went 8-5 last year. This year he's 6-1 with his only loss to a pretty damn good Oklahoma team. How about Matt Rule? At Baylor, his first year, which was 2017, he went 1-11. So y'all would have fired Matt Rule in his first year, all you people that want to fire Brent Key. Then he went 7-6 in 2018, and then he went 11-3 in 2019. When he was at Temple, he started off in 2013 2-10. Y'all would have fired him in his first year there too. A lot of pretty dang good coaches you guys would have just fired because as the title of the video shows, we don't know what realistic expectations are. All right, 14 he went 6-6, and then he had back-to-back 10-win seasons. Someone also commented like Angry Wreck is the best wreck. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to be at odds with other Georgia Tech fans, but I feel like some of this has to be called out. He also says who wanted to coach at Colorado. Well, Colorado took a pretty huge risk bringing in Coach Prime. By the way, I think you commented this. In fact, I know you commented this after they gave up a 29-point lead at halftime, which is the biggest blown lead in school history. And for Stanford, since you've brought them up, it's the biggest deficit they've ever overcome. So, yeah, man, seems like things are rolling at Colorado. By the way, what's their recruiting class ranked right now? Deion's supposed to be this out-of-this-world recruiter, 74th or 75th the last time I checked. But, yeah, man, Karma, you've got some great ideas here, man. I don't know how I overlooked it. So now Tech is the cheapest man, suffers the longest. Buckle up, Buttercup, and you're in for a long, miserable ride with Key. He does have a point with the cheap thing, but in response to him telling me to butter up Bucklecup, I think I said something like, you wouldn't say that to me at a game, or you better not see me at a game after you talk to a grown man that way. This is his response to that. Threats of violence. Shocked. Oh, WreckTalk has threatened me with violence. Hey, Karma, who's Pee Wee League now? Who's Pee Wee League now leaving a comment like that? If you somehow stumbled your way into a men's locker room, you'd be whistling Stranger in Paradise, wouldn't you? And this is what happens with people. They poke, and they can say whatever they want to you. And then when you respond to it, they're like my ex-wife. They're like, oh, my God, why are you so mad? Oh, well, because you poked the bear, man. You have the right to comment it, and I have the right to respond in any way I wish to respond. So toughen up a little bit, man. Have you been on the internet? Have you been on the internet? And this is where we've gotten. Jeremy Lingofelt, 9172. He says, this Georgia Tech sports program is probably one of the worst programs in the country. Perhaps Georgia Tech needs to shut down the entire sports program and start all over because this program is a mess. Now, I don't even know what he's trying to say with that. Like, it would make more sense to say just shut the program down. I guess he's saying shut the program down, fire everyone, basically self-impose the death penalty SMU got, and start over because that's worked so well for SMU. They still haven't recovered from it. He says, I mean, I have been a Georgia Tech fan for a very long time, but I can't support a sports program who isn't going to take it seriously. Now listen to this. I'd rather support the other Georgia team who does take it seriously. And if you look down the thread of that, he does confirm it's the Georgia Bulldogs. And if you're saying that you're going to now go root for the Georgia Bulldogs, I have news for you. You never were a Georgia Tech fan. I don't care if Georgia Tech never wins another game as long as I live. I will never root for the Georgia Bulldogs. So some part of me doesn't think that that's a legit Georgia Tech fan. All right. Now, in the last video I talked about, I think we should have hired Cutcliffe instead of Paul Johnson. And that was a contentious comment, evidently, as well. User and then a bunch of random letters. So I don't know that this is a legitimate profile either. But he says, Tech should have hired Cutcliffe instead of Paul. Have you ever looked at their comparative records in the ACC? I just did. Cutcliffe's overall winning percentage in his tenure at Duke was 44%. His ACC percentage was 31%. Paul's overall winning percentage was 57%, and in the ACC it's 58%. And I might add 9 bowl games and ACC championship, blah, blah, blah. We get the point. You ready for the checkmate? How's Duke doing right now, and how's Georgia Tech doing right now? I'll wait. I'll let you think about that. How's Duke doing? How's Georgia Tech doing? Ford 1862 says, he disagrees with me about Coach Paul Johnson. It only set us back because we left the option. If we had never left the option, we would still be doing fine. First bowl we lost that broke one of the longest bowl streaks in college football was under Paul. Oh, but he says it was a fluke due to injuries. And we still beat Florida State that year that we missed a bowl. Oh, man, well, that's great. That's great. If we never left the option, we would be just fine. And look, Paul Johnson was a great coach, for sure. And I've seen some comments that's like straw manning me into saying all our problems are because of Paul. No, that's not at all what I'm saying. Part of it is, though. Part of it is. Now, he wrote a whole dissertation here. He says, you just said the whole issue is NIL and recruiting. Again, I didn't say the whole issue, but what I said is there's a ceiling, a hard ceiling on Georgia Tech football if we can't get recruiting and NIL more competitive with other programs in the country. I don't know how that's controversial. Look at all the top 10 programs in the country. Look at the 3 programs, the 2 or 3 programs that finish at the top of the ACC every year. What do they have in common? They have attractive NIL offerings, and because of that, they are recruiting well. He says, I don't like that argument. The recruiting concept, main. It doesn't matter how much money you offer a kid if he doesn't want to take Calc. Really? Do you want to take Calc? No, I don't. Would you do it for $800,000? Yeah. All right, so that addresses that issue. We got here because we decided to leave triple option. Okay. He wants to hire Jeff Montkin or Willie Fritz or force Key to change offensive styles. This is where I don't understand. I am perpetually confused. If you look at Georgia Tech this year, is the problem the offensive scheme or what we're doing offensively or the style of offense that we choose to run? No, it's not. It's the defense. It's personnel on defense is the main issue. But I guess, hey, we could solve that by bringing the triple option back, baby. Woo! Will Key get better next year? Probably. Will the team get better next year? Probably. There is an issue, however, the one thing that no one addresses, recruiting depth. I feel like I did address that. What are you talking about? I personally like Key, but if there is a better coach, I would take him. The issue is that everyone is going to disagree when it comes to my solution, which follows. Okay, yeah. Then he says, so he says, hire Jeff Monken or Willie Fritz. All right, that you would even suggest hiring Jeff Monken. I mean, I don't even think we need to read the rest of that paragraph, but basically, the triple option is the solution to all our problems. Do those things, recruit best if you can. Well, we're not going to be able to, because you're like, are you in Georgia Tech administration? Because your thing is, well, just don't worry about NIL. Don't worry about the things that all these successful programs are putting a lot of time and money into. And then I guess hope by some miracle that things will be substantially better. He says also, you cannot argue any longer that the option or pistol run heavy variation of it will not work. Name one Power 5 program that does it. Every Power 5 program wants to win, and not one of them does it. What does that tell you? You're the kind of guy that would run like a store that sells computers, and it's like, hey, should we sell the latest and greatest and have a variety of options of like modern computers? His answer would be no, let's sell Apple IIs and Apple Is. That's literally what he thinks. So I can't argue that because the playoffs, basically. I can't argue that the triple option is not good because playoffs. Like I said, this is an unpopular option because people will tell me I'm wrong. No, it's an unpopular option because you are wrong. See the difference? Including you, likely enough. Yeah. How did you guess that? However, you cannot definitively prove that I am wrong in what I say, because until it tries and fails has as much validity as we are trying now. I mean, I could say the same thing. We should run an offense that has one play, and it's the Hail Mary. And we should run it every play of every game. And until someone does that, you can't say that that's dumb. Do you see how stupid of an argument that is, sir? It might still work, but I'm not 100% sure. Granted, I've been standing on this stump and saying this since 2019. I said I hated the Collins hire, and well, I was right. I wanted Willie Fritz and was willing to accept Key. He was the best option we had at the time, and we clearly were unwilling to return to what had worked. And the reason why still baffles me. It works. I almost hope we do, for this guy's sake, I almost hope we do hire Jeff Monken. Fire Brent Key, hire Jeff Monken, and when our ceiling is set hard at 8 wins, then maybe that's what is acceptable to him. Like, that's not what's acceptable to me. The first goal is to get to a bowl, obviously. It's unlikely this year. I've gone through all the stats on coaches in their first year that are proven success stories. Matt Rule, Steve Sarkisian, and Jim Harbaugh. And I even threw in geriatric patient Lou Holtz because that guy wanted to. And every one of them, you people would have fired in their first year. All right? And I talked about it last video. Then what's your plan? Who are you going to hire? You already have a tough situation for a coach at Georgia Tech. Then you're going to show that they're going to be on the shortest leash in the history of college football. Who are you going to hire, keeping in mind that you're $300 million in debt? I mean, that's just genius, high level, man. High level. Like I said, I didn't think that I would be doing this. So what is a realistic expectation for year one? My expectation was a bowl. But I said if we don't get there, I'm not throwing in the towel with Brent Key. What I'd like to see, find out who your playmakers are, find out what you need to improve on in the offseason, hit the portal, and it looks like we are. We've cut ties with a few kids that we've reevaluated. I imagine we're going to aggressively look for linebackers and defensive linemen in the portal and recruiting. Salvage what you can of this season. Maybe get an upset win, take care of Virginia and Syracuse. We still can make a bowl. It's just not likely. All right? And then you got to give the guy time. See what happens in year 2 and year 3. Do we improve in year 2? Then do we improve in year 3? Those are realistic. Another realistic expectation is that we really start building a more attractive NIL program. And there is commitment that hasn't been there before. I mean, you guys are wanting to throw Brent Key under the bus. First of all, he's got to be one of the lowest paid Power 5 head coaches. He might be the lowest paid Power 5 head coach, but he has the highest paid staff. So a guy that's the lowest paid head coach in Power 5 football, or one of them, you want to fire him 7 games in. I'll tell you what isn't a realistic expectation is to fire a head coach in his first year for anything on the football field. If something happens like with Mel Tucker or whatever, yeah. If he gets a DUI or something, yeah. Those are things that you fire a head coach in his first year for. Again, 4-8, Jim Harbaugh started. Steve Sarkisian, 5-7. Matt Rule, 1-11 and 2-10 at the 2 schools that he turned around. All of you people would have fired him that want Brent Key fired right now and not enjoyed the successes that they ended up bringing to the school. It's going to take time, and I get it. We've been eating a bunch of crap as Tech fans for years now. This is not the norm. I said I think this is the low point as far 2023 is the low point. Give Brent Key time to bring the success that these other coaches did to their schools. We have a guy in Jay Batt that understands what it takes at an administrative level to win. Let him do things. He's already doing things that are greatly improving our program. Now, as far as North Carolina, 8 o'clock this Saturday at Bobby Dodd. I haven't done a detailed breakdown of the game because there's really no point. As I've said, North Carolina's the 5th ranked offense. We have the 125th ranked defense. Could we come out? First of all, we're going to have to get pressure on Drake May and pick our spots with that. It's going to have to be something similar to what happened with Miami. Can we do what we did against Miami without a team tipping their plays? Probably not. I'll pick them, I'll pick them to cover tonight on the live show. By the way, I'm doing a live show tonight. To me, it comes down to collectively as a group, can you get off the canvas in the later rounds? I mean, it just comes down to what do you want to do as a player. It's not easy. It makes me think of Tyson Fury getting up when Deontay Wilder knocked him on the mat. Can you get up then? I don't have a football breakdown for it, but I think we can. I'm not going to give up on the team. I'm going to keep watching. I'm not going to be like this guy who, I'm going to go root for the Bulldogs. Well, go root for them. You're perfect. You're perfect for them. And I'm also not going to revert to, let's run the triple option with all those issues either. Go root for one of the service academies then. This team will be good again. They will. Was I a little too hyped at the beginning of the season? Yeah, probably way too hyped. But this is what you go through in year one with a new head coach. So some people might be giving up on them. I'm not. I think we can beat North Carolina. We've had North Carolina's number before. And we'll see if they can respond after taking an embarrassing loss, because history has shown that they can't. So we do have that going for us. I've got myself worked up again. If some of you aren't going to give Key the time, I'll be on here saying that we need to. You guys will have us in a revolving door of being perpetually like this because you keep firing head coaches. I expect this of other programs. I honestly didn't think I'd get it here, but I was wrong. So with that being said, let me know what you think in the comments. Tell me that I'm threatening violence against you or whatever. And I think that's a great time to say, if no one's told you today, WreckTalk loved you. Have a good one. See you tonight on the live show, probably 8:30.